Hi everyone, to start off our Last Jedi focused videos here on the channel, I'm going to start by looking at the concept that I was sure we were going to see expanded upon in Episode 8. Luke's redefining of Jedi philosophy regarding the Force to adopt a more balanced approach between the light and dark. Pretty heavy stuff, I know, but I simply mean Luke moving away from a dependence solely upon the light side of the Force, the traditional approach of the Jedi seen within the prequel era, and towards an acceptance of the Force in its totality, both the light and the dark sides. So let me just throw out a huge spoiler warning to everyone who is yet to see Episode 8 at this point, as I will be discussing events from the movie going forward. If you're wondering why this balanced approach seemed likely, I'll give some quick examples that feed this theory within the current canon. We had the Journal of the Wills, containing a verse stating that a refining of Jedi sight was needed through a gray approach, clearly referring to a balancing of the light and dark. We also had the Guardians of the Wills, who disagreed with the Jedi approach to the Force, instead preferring an approach accepting the Force's totality, light and dark. More importantly, in my opinion, we had the works of the Disciples of the Wills, another ancient Force-worshipping religious order on Jedha that may have very well predated the Jedi. The order's collected poems, prayers, and meditations on the Force included works such as this one, referencing the balance of the Force and the ability to find it between the extremes. There was also the evidence found within the examples of both the Bendu and the Force priestesses. We even had Luke's reference to the balance of the Force being bigger than either the light or dark on its own within the first teaser trailer released at Celebration. I could go on, but it's merely necessary to say that this conceptualization did not show up in The Last Jedi. There was no mention of Wills or Jedha, and while Luke may have shown Rey the balance between the light and dark, he definitely didn't show her how to use the dark side to gain an understanding of the balance. The same can be said with Snoke and Kylo. Snoke actually mocked Kylo for his weaknesses in regard to his failures in approaching the light side. But there is new evidence that's contained within the Last Jedi visual dictionary and the Art of the Last Jedi guide that makes me strongly believe that while we didn't see Luke come to understand the necessity for balance in the Force in Episode 8, the answer was quite literally right under his nose the entire time. Thus, it will be necessary for Rey and not Luke to bring the needed balance into being in Episode 9. While the clear conceptualization of balance wasn't necessarily found within the ancient Jedi texts present upon the island on Ahch-To, it was literally built into the ancient Jedi Temple there. Within the film's visual dictionary, we learn that set into the physical floor of the temple is an ancient mosaic. It goes on to state that according to the caretakers on the island, the temple mosaic contains a picture of the Prime Jedi, that is, the first Jedi of the Order, who's in a state of meditation and balance. Fortunately, we don't have to speculate that the referred to Prime Jedi may just be a legend carried forward by the caretakers of Ahch-To, as it's actually confirmed to be the Prime Jedi in the Art of the Last Jedi guide by a concept artist who worked on the film. In many ways, the mosaic speaks for itself, clearly depicting a balance between the light and dark, closely resembling a yin and yang relationship. However, the important information regarding the Prime Jedi isn't found within the visual dictionary, but the Art of guide. We learn more about the Prime Jedi through a description of one of the earlier designs of the mosaic within the ancient Jedi Temple on Ahch-To. Initially, the mosaic wasn't going to look like this, but like this. The guide describes this initial mosaic again as featuring the first Jedi of the Order, or Jedi Prime. The center yellow rocks in the mosaic represent the energy of a lightsaber splitting off into two distinct directions, with one beam of energy approaching the light side of the Force and the second beam of energy towards the dark side. Further, the black rocks surrounding the Prime Jedi are symbols for the energy of the Force, wherein everything in between the light and dark binds the universe together. While this original design was ultimately rejected in favor of the one that made it into the film, I believe this description perfectly describes the Prime Jedi mosaic set into the floor of the Ahch-To Jedi Temple. In fact, the same concept of balance that's achieved in the original design is even more clear in the final product. We still see the Prime Jedi, the first Jedi of the Order, surrounded by a balanced Force, wherein the light is within the dark and the dark is within the light, and both sides are surrounding the Prime Jedi. Even more important, the design clearly shows that the Prime Jedi has internalized this balance, accepting both the light and dark sides within them. As described within the visual dictionary, the Prime Jedi literally meditates in a state of balance. This state of balance is perfectly in line with the other examples of balance within the current canon previously mentioned. Quite amazingly, it appears that the concept of balance between the light and dark, with the recognition of the Force in its totality, was accepted by the ancient Jedi and the literal first members of the Order. While I'd been focusing on the concept being expressed in the ancient texts depicted in the trailers, and they very well could still be, the importance at this point is in the physical symbology of the Jedi Temple on Ahch-To. I love the following description of the mosaic in the Art of the Last Jedi guide, which again really drives home the point that the Prime Jedi is a symbol of balance between the light and dark sides. The yin and yang aspect of the mosaic is described as featuring dark and light shapes within each other, representing both the balance of this duality and where the schism between them is merely perceptual. Let me say that last part again, where the schism between the light and dark is merely perceptual. This is exactly what the Guardians and the Disciples of the Whills believed. While the Jedi and Sith orders perceived the schism between each concept, suggesting that the two sides were at war with each other, the truth of the Force is that there is no schism, there's only balance. I'm going to get into why and how Luke failed Ben Solo in subsequent videos, but I believe that a lot of the importance can be found in Luke completely missing this answer that was right in front of him within the Jedi Temple on Ahch-To. Quite amazingly, it appears that we now have definitive evidence within the canon that the original tenets accepted by the first members of the Jedi Order accepted a balanced approach to the Force. But these tenets ultimately became perverted by future generations of Jedi, who dropped the idea of balance and an acceptance of the dark side as a necessary component of the Force, dedicating themselves solely to the light. It wasn't necessary for Luke to end the Jedi Order and start a brand new lineage that accepted a balanced approach as I originally thought we'd see. Rather, there merely needs to be an acceptance of the tenets of the Prime Jedi, where the Jedi are taken back to their original founding philosophies. Instead of Luke, it now appears to have fallen to Rey to bring these principles into being, using the ancient Jedi text that she's in possession of to bring the Jedi back to their roots in Episode 9. But let me know what you think about the Prime Jedi and the concept of balance in the comments section below. Will we see this idea become a reality in Episode 9? Thank you to everyone who joined in the live hangout over the weekend. I had a great time discussing The Last Jedi with everyone. You can find us over on Twitter at SW Reading Club, and if you enjoy our work, please think about supporting the channel through Patreon for access to exclusive hangouts and book discussions. Thank you for watching everyone, and as always, may the Force be with you.